outside as well, because the fighting over the past week broke out on Monday with very heavy Thai bombing and airstrikes after what most people would consider a relatively minor incident. Those kind of skirmishes have gone on all year. So I think this time round, it looks like the Thai military was ready for this fight and is certainly not ready to stop it.
Y'all stop fighting, but not because of Trump.
Says the expansion of Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank is at its highest level since records began in 2017.
Another war he lied about stopping.
Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned the expansion, which he called relentless. Here's Yusuf Taha.
The report says that plans for more than 47,000 housing units have been advanced, approved, or tendered by Israel this year, nearly double last year's figures. The UN's chief added that the expansion continues to fuel tensions, impede Palestinians' access to their land, and threaten the viability of a contiguous sovereign Palestinian state. Antonio Guterres said that settlement expansion further entrenches the Israeli occupation, which he called unlawful. The Secretary General also condemned rising violence in the occupied West Bank by both the Israeli army and settlers.
European Union governments have agreed to immobilize indefinitely Russian assets of more than $200 billion that have been frozen in the EU since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
Just give them to Ukraine.
Most of Moscow's cash is held in the Belgian bank Euroclear. Danny Eberhard reports.
That was kind of stupid, wasn't it, to start a war against Europe?
$250 billion worth of Russian assets have been held frozen in the European Union.
Good job. You're going to report on how many
has already been using the
Russian soldiers Ukraine killed last couple days?
But it's also looking at using the assets to secure a loan for Kiev. That makes Belgium nervous and angers Moscow. No decision will be made on that until an EU summit next week at the earliest.
Krasnov, fuck Trump,
this latest step may make any such move a little easier. It means EU countries don't need to keep renewing the freeze every 6 months.
China has held a memorial ceremony to mark the 88th anniversary of the Nanjing massacre, when invading Japanese troops rampaged through China's then capital, killing hundreds of thousands of civilians and soldiers. This year's commemorations come at a time of increased tensions between Beijing and Tokyo. BBC News. Democrats in the US House Oversight Committee have released 2 batches of photographs from the estate of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The first group shows some of the rich and powerful who consorted with him, including Donald Trump. Sean Dilley is in Washington.
The photographs are among more than 95,000 images handed to the House Oversight Committee by the Epstein estate. Democrat members of the committee say they have released them in the interests of transparency. Republicans have in turn accused them of cherry-picking a small selection to create what they call a false narrative about Donald Trump.
Dude, Trump was there.
The timing and context of the latest images is unclear, but none of the photos contradict Mr. Trump's previous statements that while he and Epstein were once friends, they parted ways years before Epstein's convictions in 2008, and none show any of those pictured doing anything wrong.
The Colombian
way to try to cover up for Trump as much as you
has
can.
announced 3 days
Pretty
of widespread military exercises from Sunday in protest against US military operations in the region.
Especially now.
The group has said that civilians will not be targeted, but warned people to stay at home. It said the action was to reject what it called imperialist intervention threats from President Trump.
Crystal Lynn, nice to meet you.
A former British Defense Secretary has criticized President Trump's handling of the war in Ukraine, describing the US leader as a Kremlin proxy in the White House who was prepared to support a dictator over a Democrat.
That's what he is.
Sir Grant Shapps, who was heavily involved in UK military support for Ukraine in Britain's previous Conservative government, made the comments in a BBC interview.
Thank you. You're an American hero to us now for calling out Trump. Anybody who calls out Trump's an American hero.
It's received 5 million requests for next year's World Cup tickets in the first 24 hours.
I thought they had 5 million requests for the peace,
despite a backlash
for next year's peace prize.
High prices. FIFA said supporters from more than 200 countries had requested tickets. That's the latest. BBC News.
You're welcome.
It's 6 minutes past 6 GMT.
Gold medal for you. I don't know why your name is on the other side of your comment. It's interesting. It happened before to everybody.
Has contradicted President Trump's claim that there would be a ceasefire
along the disputed border.
So
with
there you go. That's
Cambodia.
one of his peace
The US
deals.
president
Another
said
one of his
he'd
peace deals that
called
was
the
fake
leaders
and a
of
lie.
both countries
Oh, you
last
called
night,
them?
and that they'd agreed to stop
Well,
fighting
they
immediately.
lied to you like you lied to everyone
both
else.
sides have since reported continued bombing and artillery exchanges. It comes
We gotta
as
stop
half a
Trump.
million people in both
He's gonna make
countries
everything worse.
have been forced to leave their homes close to that border. Well, Jurasan is
Thanks
a
for
Thai
likes.
farmer who's living in an evacuation center near the border.
We're just listening to fallout of another war Trump didn't stop.
I want the fighting to stop. Cambodia should halt its military movements and sign a new agreement, one that guarantees no more invasions or attacks on the Thai side, and that they will finally clear all unexploded ordnance along the border.
Well, the BBC's Southeast Asia correspondent Jonathan Head is in Bangkok, and there's no sign of this fighting easing at the moment, Jonathan.
So Trump
No,
lied.
and I don't think it's likely.
Trump
There's not the
failed,
will on
lied,
either
and
side.
sucks.
I mean, Cambodia is definitely
Got
keen
it.
for a ceasefire. It has
BJT
the smaller
sucks,
military.
lied,
And from
and
what we
failed.
can see, and we
Got
are
it.
very limited in what we get to see on the front line.
He also stopped fighting,
the
but not
Thai
because of
military
Trump.
is
Of course
hitting them
Trump
very hard,
failed.
particularly with airstrikes. Cambodia has no real
Nice
air
to see you
defense,
again,
has
Joseph.
no air force of its own to speak of. An awful lot of artillery shelling, and the Thais are claiming they're destroying a lot of what they call Cambodian command and control.
Yes, not.
It's
I'm
hard
having a
to
good
know
night. Are
because
you?
They've been hitting the places like sort of casino buildings and so on, which they say are being used.
Thanks
They
for
even
asking.
knocked down a construction crane that was being used in the renovation of an ancient temple. But I think the Cambodians
Oh my
will like the
gosh.
fighting to stop.
They're knocking
But
down
even the
ancient
Cambodian
temples.
Prime Minister wasn't
That's
talking
some
about any ceasefire being
ISIS
agreed
stuff.
after the conversation with President Trump last night. I think that's just
Some Al Qaeda stuff.
Mr. Trump trying to put the best face on it, and
Trump just
actually
lied.
Trying to, I think perhaps
can say that he
create
lied.
facts by claiming there's
You're
a
supposed to be
ceasefire, but
journalists.
the Thai Prime Minister
Create
has come out
facts
this
by
morning,
claiming
in
there's a
fact,
ceasefire. You
and
can
said,
say
no,
lie.
We didn't agree a ceasefire. In fact, I told him why they couldn't be one, and he's insisting Thai forces will keep on fighting.
He's
They
not
won't
listening.
stop. It could even escalate, and that's
He
quite
just
a worry
watched some
because
AI video.
There are still heavier weapons on both sides that have not
God
not yet
bless
been
you too.
used.
President Trump was successful in that ceasefire endeavor, albeit briefly, in July. Why is it more difficult this time, do you think?
Well,
Demolish
he's
your
lucky with
historical
his
sites.
timing
What a
then,
crud. Yeah,
because
we did a lot
at
of
the
that
time
in Iraq.
fighting
We
broke
destroyed a
out,
lot of
both
historical
Cambodia
sites in
and
Iraq.
Thailand were in the last stages of negotiating.
That's probably part of the
punitive
reason
tariff
for the
rates
war.
of
Carpet bomb a
36%
country
I
and
think it's
destroyed some of
49
the
for Cambodia,
ancient civilizations
and
there
lower
are.
ones. And Mr. Trump was able then to say,
Destroy
well,
the record
there
of
will be no
humanity
tariff
going
talks
back
unless
more than
you stop
5,000
fighting.
years.
At that stage, both governments felt they could not afford to be in a position where they didn't get a tariff deal. Those deals are done. They're still being fleshed out.
Nice to see you again,
Interestingly,
Blink
Mr.
Blick.
Trump did not use any kind of threats this time, as far as we're aware. He doesn't appear to have used.
Yeah, you can't get it back like you can't get back the East Wing of the White
I
House.
think there's a realization.
He knocked down our White House. All the companies that funded that should be seized. All those executives should be arrested.
Mood in Thailand. You have a government here which is anyway just called an election, so you're in election mode.
Kickstart your
which
rap
is taking
career.
A very hardline stance, and which
I'll
is
help you.
effectively given the military, the Thai military, carte
If you're
blanche.
anti-Trump, I'll
On the
help you
Cambodian
get
side,
famous.
Trying to read
Help me get famous
motivations
too.
and thinking there is almost impossible. It's a secretive, one party, almost one family state. So that you don't have the kind of capable leaders or willing leaders on either side who might think, right, it's time to rein this in. And the Thai generals, in essence, there's no one holding them back. And they want to gain as much ground as they can and hit the Cambodians as hard as they can to give them the strongest possible advantage for any future fight.
And in the meantime, I mean, those figures on the border are telling. 500,000 people in both countries forced to leave their homes. This is devastating for so many, isn't it?
It is, and in fact, I think that number is now probably closer to 750,000, particularly on the Cambodian side. Those communities up there, I was there in August, they're much more thinly spread, but they're also much poorer. And when we saw
They'll be more
displaced people
famous and
still
more
in
powerful
August,
than
the
your
weeks
god
after
baby
that
Trump.
bout of fighting had finished, the conditions were appalling. They were living in wet, miserable conditions under tarpaulins. The Thai displaced people have generally got better places. The Thailand's got far more towns on its side of the border. There are government buildings, universities, sports centres where they can be accommodated comfortably there, being well supplied. But even then, these people will want to get back to their homes. And it's interesting, you get a very strident, intolerant nationalist view from people on both sides of the border on things like social media. But when you speak to people who actually live next to the border, all they want is for the fighting to stop, and they don't have that much hostility to the other side. But the mood in each country has now become so intractable. I can't see a way in which this can be walked back.
Read your comment for the highlight.
For probably a few weeks.
It doesn't matter if you believe Anton. Anton's a Nazi. He's a groyper. You don't have to talk to Anton. He's a Nazi.
The United States, where Democrats
doesn't matter if you believe Anton and if you think it was the least. It's over 240 years old. Now gone over gaudy hubris of one man's God complex ego.
Including Donald Trump and the former President Bill Clinton.
And Trump blew Bill Clinton, didn't he? Or was it Ghislaine Maxwell's horse, Bubba?
And the images do not.
I like trilobites too. Thanks for representing trilobites here. Welcome to the Fairy Liberation Front.
Create a false narrative. Earlier, I spoke to the BBC's Sean Dilley in Washington and began by asking, what do these photos show?
I think you'd have to say nothing new is the headline.
We already knew that Trump and Epstein were tight like that.
In all of these images,
it could be both Ghislaine Maxwell's horse, Bubba, and Bill Clinton, because the people who saw him blow the horse didn't necessarily see him blow Bill Clinton, so they're like, no, it was the horse. People who saw him blow Bill Clinton didn't necessarily see him blow the horse, so they're like, no, it was Bill Clinton. Although you don't hear from them.
Were once friends, but that they had
you only hear from the horse ones.
Friends in the early 2000s, well before the conviction. But what you see is from the Epstein files, around just over 90 photographs released by politicians from the Oversight Committee. The Democrats, members of that, have released these roughly 90 photos out of 95,000 that were handed to them by the Epstein estate. Now, as you can imagine, the Republicans on that committee say that they are cherry-picking a small selection.
Put a 1 in the chat if you hate Trump for the concentration camps. Put a 2 in the chat if you hate Trump for the pedophile sex trafficking.
Out of 95,000. In other words, this is a tiny, tiny percentage of what is potentially there. What's the longer-term plan here?
It's quite clear from what a gentleman called Robert Garcia, a Democrat, the most senior on that committee, had said. He said it's time to stop.
I'm not Googling what Maxwell said about Trump. You're supporting sex traffickers. You're a pedophile too. I already know you're a pedophile.
Now,
I don't need to Google anything to know you're a pedophile.
On both sides
Bud Russell.
Of the divide in America are quite
joined a year ago, 0 subscribers.
Their opponents, Democrats blame Republicans and vice versa. But critically, of course, next Friday is the deadline for the Department of Justice in the United States to release, not necessarily all, this is the rider, but to release.
Yeah, I hate Trump for those reasons as well, and others. You won't do shit, Bud Russell.
Trump signed off on that one last month after having sort of bizarrely during the campaign season saying that it's what he would do, and when lawmakers.
It's not that bizarre. He lies.
He had appeared to initially oppose it.
He uses his victims to
bill, something he could have done by way of an executive
capture people, zombify people.
Has been going round and round.
He could have done it earlier.
Is that the Department of Justice?
Biden could have done it too. They have a point there. Biden could have done it too. Biden protected Trump. Biden should be arrested for protecting Trump. Bill Clinton should be arrested for protecting Trump. Let Trump know we're coming for him, like Bill did, with a little thumbs up. Coming for you. I'm coming for you, Donnie. Coming for you, BJT.
I'm not necessarily going to get a clear answer to that question come the time.
Yeah,
see how they're admitting they're Nazis? The Nazi Groiper said put an 88 in chat if you love Trump. A Nazi symbol, because he's a Nazi. And you guys are Nazis, aren't you?
Involved, although manifestly there are going to be vulnerable people involved given the nature of the allegations against Jeffrey Epstein, or if there are ongoing investigations, then they could be particularly sensitive papers. So what you're going to end up with is whether or not someone is of the view that the Department of Justice is operating in entirely good faith, whether someone supports them totally or they're cynical, there's always going to be that question is, okay, something's being withheld, it's not being published.
Put a 1 in the chat if you hate Trump for the concentration camps.
What is the reason behind it? Is
Put a 2 in the chat if you hate Trump for the sex trafficking.
Perceive some kind of conspiracy. So calls for transparency will continue.
Sean Dilley speaking to me from Washington. You're with Weekend from the BBC World Service.
Thanks, Sean Dilley. Give that man a dilly bar. Thanks for the reactions. We're just listening to the BBC
the
News.
Of the Iranian activist Najat Mohammadi says
what they're covering.
Never see her again after she was arrested yesterday. The Nobel Peace Laureate was arrested.
How long was your coma, Melrose?
While protesting at a
Melkor?
memorial service for a lawyer.
How long was your coma?
Weeks ago.
9 years? 12 years?
Spent more than
Welcome
10
back.
Years in Evin prison for her activism. But she was on temporary leave from prison.
You had to change from your Nazi symbols because people didn't go for your Nazi crap, huh? They ought to know, though, that supporting Trump makes them Nazis.
The circumstances that led to his mother's arrest. He spoke to us in French, and his words...
If you'd like for me to share with you millions and millions of dollars, I would gladly do that.
2 to 3 weeks ago,
As long as you're anti-Trump.
Khosrow Ali-Kurdi was found dead in his office in Iran. Unfortunately, he was found dead in extremely unclear circumstances. The victim's family believes it may have been at the behest of the Islamic Republic of Iran. My mother and many other activists, like those who were part of the group, were paying their last respects at a mosque in his hometown.
Isn't that you guys'
We know
side?
that,
Iran,
unfortunately,
Putin,
during the
Trump?
tributes, when my mother was about to speak, the forces of the Islamic Republic, the repressive forces, began attacking simultaneously. They attacked with tear gas, and then there was a mass arrest of everyone present.
There are reports that she was violently arrested. Can you tell us any more about that?
Yes, that was the case. I want to clarify that it wasn't just her who was violently arrested. You should know that the repressive forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran are aware that my mother and many other activists are in need of significant operations and care. They're in a very fragile state of health, but that didn't stop them at all from using tear gas and attacking them head on, charging them, carrying out mass arrests, even though these people were simply expressing their support for the family of the deceased
like ICE
and the lawyer,
kidnappers.
and highlighting once again the murky circumstances
Sounds like Syria.
surrounding his death.
Your mother
Sounds like how
continued
Syria got
her
overthrown.
activism while she was on medical leave. Do you think she was expecting to be
Okay,
re-elected?
Joseph the Bear Paw says,
I don't think it was planned.
Let's
but
hear the
you
rest of
should
the
know
interview.
that the forces of the Islamic Republic wouldn't hesitate to seize the opportunity to arrest my mother or other activists, because the Islamic Republic tells freedom
Sounds like
fighters
ICE
to be
kidnappers.
quiet and to not make
Sounds
a
like
sound.
Trump mutineers.
Then we'll leave you alone. Because
sounds
my mother
exactly
and other
like
activists are
Trump
going
mutineers.
against that message. They're truly in a fight that could cost them their lives. For example,
ICE is a
right
kind of
now,
meth.
we don't know how many people
That's
were
what they used to
initially
call
arrested
meth.
or where my mother is.
Your mother's been arrested so many times. She's been told to shut up, as you put it, so many times. Why is she so defiant?
And they're all probably on meth. The FBI. Do you remember the FBI on a meth bender?
And like many other Iranian women, she witnessed the Islamic Republic of Iran come to power in 1979. Like many Iranian women, she saw fundamental freedoms reinstated, freedoms that were later revoked. Her struggle goes against the very essence of the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's important to understand that under the Islamic Republic, my sister didn't have the same rights. It's something extremely difficult for my mother. And simply as a woman in Iran, she feels more involved in this fight because it's not just women who are attacked, precisely because they're women, because they're subjected to a very archaic, patriarchal, theocratic vision. And this fight is precisely for freedom, for democracy, through the struggle of feminism.
Thanks to everybody for standing up for human rights and feminism.
Feminist, and that's what gives her the strength to fight.
Do you think you will see your mother again?
Alors, je me permets de parler également au nom de ma sœur. Moi et ma sœur, nous sommes prêts à l'idée de ne peut-être plus jamais revoir
I speak on behalf of my sister. as
Trump
well.
still borrowed
My
too
sister
much
and I
time.
have come to terms with the idea that we may never see our mother again.
That's so sad.
Because unfortunately it is a possibility. We don't know how many children of parents have lost loved ones in Iran because of the repression of the Islamic Republic. However, I haven't forgotten what my mother started fighting because she has hope.
Well, listening to that is Dr. Sanam Vakil, Director of the Middle East and Africa.
Why do you think that many women are no longer seeking to coddle many ways conservatives' egos? Well, because it's caveman stuff. Nobody needs those types of men anymore. They're not necessary. They're obsolete. They're in their death throes.
Many of the people arrested were attending a
Rage
memorial
trolling.
ceremony for an important Iranian lawyer, Mr. Ali Kurdi, who died under suspicious circumstances. And I think that the authorities are very worried.
Trump's
of
very
renewed
unconditioned,
protests
very
across
unconditioned
country.
in heart failure. Trump's
And,
own
this
borrowed
arrest,
time already. Yeah, but he's borrowed too much time. He's had too much of our
against
time.
ordinary Iranians for any sort of activism is a broader message that there are red lines and this
Oh,
kind
hi,
of political
Sarah.
activism.
Ignore the
not be
trolls. They're mostly
tolerated,
trolls except for Joseph. He's
particularly
cool.
after the war.
The rest are
This is
trolls.
an
Ignore them,
ongoing
please.
theme in Iran, but I think the Islamic Republic is, effectively under serious internal pressure and wants.
Yeah, the purple blood vessels in his hands and ankles and edema in his legs is telling you Trump is not fine, not at all. He has congestional heart failure, but not enough of it. I have heart failure. I like it. It's a pretty good high expectancy rate.
Well,
congratulations. I'm glad you're doing okay.
Social freedom, less policing of women's dress code, although it's sort of
I hope you're all right.
incremental, it waxes and wanes. And yes, there's more social permissiveness.
But that was for Trump. All ill will is towards Trump.
Available, and I think
not towards humans.
This is
only
the
Trump
state
and Trump
apparatus
Putiners.
also understanding that with the country being under severe economic sanctions, uncertainty about the future, perhaps another round of conflict with Israel.
You never know. Maybe they'll have a miraculous treatment for you.
In order to keep the population.
Your mind seems really sharp. You shouldn't worry about that at all.
There are red lines on political issues or sensitivities that have to be constrained, but
cardiomyopathy specialists, listen to them tell you the entire truth. Trump's GP is not telling you, the American people. Well, yeah, his doctors always lie.
Kurdish girl Masa
he writes
Amini,
his doctor's statements for him.
died at the hands of the system for her lax hijab, and that unleashed waves of protests around the country. And so perhaps there are similar fears that the death of this very important human rights lawyer could also trigger similar reactions.
It's very telling the last question that Paul Henley asked Ali Rahmani, do you think you'll see your mother again? And he sounded very doubtful. I mean, would that be your fear?
I wouldn't talk to the trolls. Some of them are confirmed Nazi groypers.
Certainly. I think,
Antoine, for instance, is a Nazi and a groyper.
Activists in Iran have sacrificed their lives for a bigger cause. And that bigger cause is liberty, freedom, accountability, justice,
women, life,
equality,
freedom,
transparency. And she has been at the forefront of that.
They destroyed your health insurance. It's going to fail into universal health care. We need to send Jasmine Crockett to the White House and send our medical bills to the White House. Universal health care.
Thank you very much for coming to the program. As ever, Dr. Sanam Vakil, Director of the Middle East and Africa Program.
It surprises me that you're not admitting it, that you're not bragging about it like you were 5 minutes ago when you're saying put 88s in the chat for Trump, when you're begging people to do Nazi shit for you. You realize there aren't any other Nazis in here. That's just not a good idea.
Settlement expansion in the occupied West Bank has hit
you can prove it right there. I would pin your comment, but it would make me look like I'm a Nazi. You're the Nazi here. You need to fuck off.
Become famous for far more than its cakes or its coffee. At Tokyo's Orange Day Cafe, muddled orders.
Yeah, they're gonna destroy America in every single possible way for Putin. I ain't pinning your Nazi shit. You know you're a goddamn Nazi.
Created to give people living with dementia a place to volunteer.
All right, I'll shut down the live. We've had enough talking to the Nazis.
Living with dementia who's become something.
You didn't win shit, dude. I'll curse you while you're here. Have I cursed you? I cursed you before, didn't I? I'll go ahead and curse you again. Antoine, I curse you. I curse your family and friends. I curse Trump, Putin, and Netanyahu through you. I curse Nick Fuentes through you. Sarah says, universal health care is not that great. What I hear from my people in Canada, well, they're lying to you or you're lying.
But the mood and the purpose of this place change.
I know our healthcare system is fucked. Exactly. We need universal healthcare. It's the only way out. Proof is they openly admitted it when CPAC is where they openly saying it. Yeah, they did it on a Nazi state. They had a Nazi symbol for a stage. They had the Coast Guard take the swastika off the hate symbols list. Like he's a total Nazi. They put SS Secretary of War for Pete Hegseth. SS. They're total Nazis. They're rubbing it in your face. Everyone else in the world knows they're Nazis. They should be coming for Trump. I don't care if Europe invades us. Fuck Trump. Fuck y'all. I don't care if Canada and Mexico annex us. Fuck Trump. Fuck y'all. We're going to help him. We're going to destroy this motherfucking country before we let Trump ruin it his way. We'll tear it in half. Don't give a fuck. Giving automatic citizenship to everyone ICE contacts. Life in prison for all ICE and all their enablers. That includes most of y'all. Life in prison. Take all your stuff. Take all Elon Musk stuff. Take all Mark Zuckerberg stuff. You didn't reverse shit. Joseph says, their problems is with every medical care systems, but investment into universal health care helps lift all boats. Yeah, just cancel the insurance industry. There is no more insurance industry. It's universal health care. The government runs it so they can get the prices down.
Mentioned the cafe idea, but the initiative was delayed because of the COVID pandemic. By the time it took off,
At least you spelled your correctly. You're the first Trump-Putin ever to spell your correctly.
This has been a gratifying experience for her and the
You know,
elderly
well done.
volunteers. People was to
You've evolved just the slightest bit.
who is not disabled and able.
If Jesus and Satan fight a kill cage match, it's pretty much happening right now. Jesus is defeating Trump. Trump is the Antichrist. Jesus is defeating him.
They need a place to
See, the guy you guys agree with is the one who says, I rebuke Euless in the name of Epstein. So he does things in the name of Epstein. That's your team. Your team Epstein, Trump-Putiners. Romans says, for I say the Messiah became a servant of the Jewish people in order to show God's truthfulness in making good his promises to the patriarchs. I don't know what that relates to anything. Church of Judas replaces all patriarchy, Christianity, war, and Trumpism.
And I wanted to see how they operate, and I was really curious about the process.
Yep, you want to fix the border issue. Easy way to do it. Here it is if you're interested. I'm listening. I'm for open borders. I could give a fuck. Yeah, Jesus will help us defeat Trump. Jesus will defeat Antichrist Trump with our help. Or the SEEP immigration plan to ease people into it. Service, like people who do emergency work. Service, like soldiers, emergency workers, educators, politicians. You get citizenship if you can win an office. It's a very radical idea. Even if you run for, coroner, garbage man or something. Build on the other side of the border. Better water filters on the other side. Yeah, improve other countries is a great way to cut down on immigration. That's the perfect solution. Totally agree with you on that.
With an aging and shrinking population, Japan faces a major dementia challenge. The Ministry of Health estimates that more than 5 million people will be affected.
Okay, somebody said, David Plott said, I really thought a politician would be the Antichrist. It's Trump. Trump is the Antichrist. He is a politician. I feel it'd be someone unknown or someone we least expect. No, it's Trump. It's the person you most suspect. It's Trump. It's not hard. Trump's the Antichrist. If you do think and say all the opposite of the things that Trump says, you'll find Jesus.
But in this tiny cafe, it's the human connection that makes the real difference. Memories may slip here, but hope, humor, and dignity.
Jigsaw is announcing himself as a pedo, because Trump-Putiners can only project and lie. The opposite of everything they say is true. Kenny Hart whatsoever. Whosoever.
From the BBC World Service in a moment, I'll bring my two guests into the mix for the rest of the program. Before that, the latest international.
He's saying some God stuff. And share security with the side and push. They've stopped sharing security with America. Like Europe has cut America off because we're untrustworthy. We're a security risk for America. And I'm down for them to take us over. Fuck Trump. I'm down for our military to coup. Military really has a duty to coup. I made a video earlier today about, is our military just stupid and terrible? Why haven't they overthrown Trump yet? That's their duty. Surely they have a plan for that. So remember, Antoine's a Nazi. So when he says, Hail King Trump, and he puts 2 Ks in the King, that's because he's a Klansman. When he puts Heil, it's because he's a Nazi. And when he puts Trump, it's because he's MAGA. You're all Nazis and Klansmen. He's the only one bold enough to admit it or whatever, but that's what you all are. You're all so fucking weak. You won't say anything against him being an obvious Nazi and Klansman because you're all Trump zombies too. Not all of you, but some of you are. The vast majority of you are, because it's net and YouTube. That's what net and YouTube traffics in, you fucking Nazi terrorist cells. We all hate you. I use my life to catch you so that we can hunt you down in the future. Nazi hunters will hunt you for the rest of their lives because Nazi hunting is a noble profession. We thought Trump was a Nazi. Yeah, Trump is a Nazi. This guy is proving that Trump's a Nazi. He supports Trump with Nazi Roman salutes in chat, and you guys are all fine with it. You don't have shit in Texas, dude. Trump flood killed hundreds of Texans. Trump flood killed dozens of schoolgirls. Y'all didn't do shit. He went down and gloated about it, bragged about it.
Jan Wirakun has said his country will continue military action against Cambodia until it feels there are no more threats to its territory or people. His remarks follow renewed hostilities along the two neighbours' disputed border. A new UN report says the expansion of Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank is at its highest level since records began 8 years ago. The Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, called it relentless.
And illegal.
China has held a
because it is
ceremony
illegal.
to mark the 88th anniversary of the Nanjing massacre that saw invading Japanese troops rampage through China's then capital. This year's commemorations come at a time of increased tensions between Beijing and Tokyo. A Turkish car ferry anchored in a Ukrainian port has been damaged after it was hit during an airstrike. Moscow hasn't commented. Ukraine blamed Russia for the attack.
Didn't Ukraine just destroy a lot of Russian equipment today and kill a lot of Russians?
Photographs from the estate of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Some of the rich and powerful who consorted with him, including Donald Trump, appear in the first batch. The images in the second
Your team
are mostly of property. In Britain, King Charles has announced that his cancer treatment will be reduced next year. In a pre-recorded message for a British cancer awareness show, the monarch said his recuperation was a testimony to the remarkable advances in cancer care.
Hello, Elliptic
British
6.
Defence Secretary Sir Grant Shapps has criticised President Trump's handling of the war in Ukraine in a BBC interview. Sir Grant, who was heavily involved in UK military support for Ukraine in Britain's previous Conservative government, described the US president as a Kremlin proxy in the White House who was prepared to support a dictator over a Democrat.
That's exactly what he is. They called it true. Thank you. You're an American hero, even though you're European, because you're standing up to Trump. Everybody who stands up to Trump is an American hero. Lucy Luciano was rooting out Nazis in the docks in World War II. I'm rooting out Nazis here on YouTube. You see how many Nazis we caught?
And Danny Sriskandarajah is here, Chief Executive of the progressive UK-based New Economics Foundation.
Just because he hasn't met Trump doesn't mean Trump isn't a bad person. Exactly. Trump's the Antichrist. He's about the worst person there's ever been. And this guy's putting 3 Ks to call Trump king because he's a Klansman. And Trump's a Klansman. And you're Nazis. Tetris Blue, if you don't know that Trump's a Nazi, you're probably a Nazi.
You know, things were happening, and I
you can tell by the other Nazis in chat saying Nazi Klan things.
as a freelancer, and I ended
Miss
up
Bunny,
as a stringer.
you're a troll.
Yeah.
You won't tell us what church you go to because you're scared.
People and they say, yes, I wanted to do it from the age of 5.
You grew up with many people who had the tattoo. What tattoo? 88th anniversary. So is that a pro-Nazi comment?
But I think it suits me.
Lucky Luciani was legit working for the U.S. government. I'm not working for the government. I'm just hunting Nazis in my spare time.
They were.
Nazis was German, World War II. You don't know what you're talking about. Why'd you put 2WW, Tetris Blue? Why do you talk like a Russian or something? Yep. Do you believe in coincidences? I believe in magic. I'm a fairy witch. I'm going to go ahead and curse Trump and Putin and Netanyahu through all the Trump Putiniers in chat. The nice thing to do, I'll remove your curses, Trump Putiniers, and I'll curse Trump and Putin and Netanyahu with them.
The personal repercussions for me, and the fact
And I'm going to curse Trump and Putin and Netanyahu through you and your family and friends. You're now cursed for supporting Trump. You should stop doing it.
No, it's a lifetime ban.
Can I kick Anton? No, I mean I can. I could just mute him, but you might as well know that he's a Nazi and that the other people see that he's a Nazi and they don't call him out, so they're Nazis too. It's just a trap. It's just a way to trap Nazis.
Yes.
He says, I rebuke Eulis, he's referring to me. I rebuke me in the name of Epstein because he's a pedophile and a Nazi. That's your guys' team. That's your team.
And also their fertility as well. So
You guys aren't rebuking him, so that's your team.
the industry will make money from you in some way or the other. So I'm interested
Not talking
in
about what?
that. And it's not a
Trying to scare? I'm cursing Nazis. If you're a Nazi, you should be fucking scared because you got in the wrong live, motherfucker. I just cursed you, your family, and friends if you're a goddamn Nazi. So stop being a Nazi. Stop being a Trump Putineer.
Career path and the worlds that you have occupied in recent times.
Anti-Trump. The chat is Nazis. The chat is largely Nazis. They're pro-Trump. I'm anti-Trump. That's why they're here trolling. But that's why I'm here cursing them. What side are you on? Are you a human? Are you American? Are you an Earthling? Or are you a Trump Putineer zombie, not Zionist, Groiper troll? I've got all bootlickers in comments trying to LARP as a Trump supporter. Somebody said he's got some bootlicker in the comments trying to LARP as a Trump supporter. I've got 90%, 95% Nazis in chat trying to LARP as a Trump supporter. And all the other Trump supporters don't care enough about Trump themselves or anything to say, hey, that's Nazi shit. Don't associate that with us. Because they're pretty much happy about it. They're glad that he's saying it out loud.
And have been away and come back after about 15 years. And in that time, it certainly does feel like our...
Yeah, I've known they'll put you in a room filled with tarps in a chair.
Feels these days
the Nazis, I assume you're talking about.
Is less able to take risks, more fearful of...
Never mind, got it. You throw around Nazi so much it has become meaningless. No, you're probably a Nazi. If you don't know that Trump's a Nazi, you're a Nazi. Let's get your activity for the Nazi hunters. You joined 14 years ago, you have 11 subscribers. Those are the numbers of a Nazi.
Why are people more nervous?
And then Bud Russell is saying obvious Nazi code. I have a house and 88 acres and you live in a car. He's saying Nazi codes. Antoine's saying blood and soil, Nazi codes. You guys are all Nazis. Caught you.
But also that, there's just less money in most governments around the world, and so they can't experiment. And many mainstream politicians are running in fear of what's happening at the extremes. And
you don't know anybody.
Institutions they occupy.
You're like threatening me with terrorists. You're like, I know gays who will put you in a chicken wire and throw you in a lake with alligators. You're a Nazi. We get it. You're a Nazi. We know that you're Nazi. That was Kenny Hart, whosoever, whose channel activity is joined 3 years ago, 0 subscribers. He looks like an old-ass fucking man. Oh, just trolled. I'm trolled by Nazis. There's a Nazi terrorist cell, Groypers, and other Nazi terrorist cells, other Trump Putineer terrorist cells that troll my channel. Have you not been on YouTube Live before?
Deactivated. Well, making the case for the ban, the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese released this video clip.
Trump is the Antichrist. It doesn't matter that he's not smooth enough. Trump is the Antichrist. I don't care how wrinkly he is. Trump is the Antichrist. I'm not a Nazi hunter. I'm trapping you guys for the Nazi hunters. This person said Netanyahu is king. So we have a not Zionist.
Most of the school holidays coming up, rather than spending it scrolling on your
I'm a fairy witch, yeah.
Start a new sport, learn a new instrument, or read that book that's been sitting there on your shelf for some time. And
there's another Nazi in comments. Savory Mitchell Zombie is also saying blood and soil. There's also another Nazi.
All young Australians have taken kindly to Mr.
Savoy Mitchell Zombie.
Approach. Mary Nayland is one of 2 teenagers who've launched a legal challenge against the law.
I'm against this ban because I do strongly believe that there are problems with social media, gaming, and screen time in general. However, there's also so much good, education, socializing.
Who's Daniel Larson?
A blanket ban, I think it's beneficial if we set implications, as this case
Who's Edward Norton?
Fighting for is emphasizing the constitutional rights of young Australians to discuss politics. And this ban, however, completely removes an entire age group from engaging in our modern way of communicating politically.
And the social media platform Reddit has also launched legal action against the ban. Lawyers for Reddit say the ban infringes freedom of political speech and that its platform doesn't have the social media features targeted by the Australian government. Australia's health minister, Mark Butler, has accused Reddit of trying to protect its profits, quote, at the expense of the mental health of young people. Well, on the line is Ezra Scholl, who's
what does it matter if somebody lives in their car?
Of Melbourne, and also a disability advocate. Ezra, welcome to the program. Good morning from London.
You guys aren't concerned about the Nazis in chat. Y'all are concerned about me. Because you're Nazis.
Ban affect you?
No, I'm not speaking exactly like a Nazi. The people who are speaking exactly like a Nazi are in chat, and you're agreeing with them because you're a Nazi. Wheelie Edits joined 5 months ago. You should stop being a Nazi.
Are you clear at this stage exactly what you cannot do anymore?
Yeah, I can't watch reels. I can't connect with, to movies, music, sports. I can't follow those sort of accounts.
Hey, Epileptic 6. I'm cursing you. You have seizures, right? I'm cursing you. Okay, I'm cursing you and your friends and your family. You fucked with the wrong one. You stood up for Trump at the wrong time. I'm cursing Trump through you. I'm cursing Putin through you. I'm cursing Netanyahu through you. I'm cursing Nick Fuentes through you. I'm cursing Widow Kirk through you. Okay? but I'm cursing them through you. Epileptic.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
dumb
Social
fuck.
media is
You know what
a
causes your seizures?
easy way to stay connected with my friends and make new friends.
I described you in the introduction as a disability advocate. So what's the wider view amongst those that you are campaigning alongside to all of this?
Yeah, I feel that the view is that social media is an avenue for connection for
Daniel Port, who are you talking
people,
about?
especially people in wheelchairs. And
You'll find out what a fairy
Anthony
witch is.
Albanese said that you
A
can
fairy
just,
witch is what just cursed you.
play sport or learn an instrument, but for
Oh, Miss
some
Bunny,
people,
actually,
like
you actually
me,
stood up to
some
the
of my relatives in
Klansmen.
wheelchair,
Miss
who's
Bunny,
quadriplegic,
you
I
actually
can't
said
do
something
that,
against the
so I find that
Klansmen in the
really
chat.
rude,
I'm so
and
proud
I
of
don't
you.
think
You got a
that's
glimmer of
safe.
humanity for
I'll come back
once.
to you for a moment on
Go with
what
that.
was
That's where
said and
Jesus will
what
meet
sort of
you,
the middle way might
not
be
the
a fair way. I
Antichrist
want
church you
bring
go
my guests
to.
in with some thoughts as well, maybe a question to you, Alav.
Divine order of kings. Seriously, if you believe in the Constitution, you cannot be for the divine rule of kings. They don't believe in the Constitution. They would wipe Putin's ass with the Constitution, just like Trump would do. That's his mission. See him putting Nazi codes in the chat? That's ex-Deftone S putting Nazi codes in the chat. That's Savoy putting N-words in the chat. You guys are Nazis. You guys are Klansmen. Miss Bunny there's hope for Miss Bunny because she called you out for being a Nazi. She's the only one who did it. The rest of y'all are all fucking Nazis and pedophiles.
Presumably, some people are going to do that, and that's one of the points of the critics of the ban is that it's.
That was Charlie Kirk. Daniel Port, I like your style. Besides, why did they have the misser shoot that teleprompter in Fireman? Why did they shoot Charlie Kirk? Why did they have the DCIA shooter shoot those National Gardeners? Why does MAGA keep shooting themselves? Why do they keep having one MAGA shoot another MAGA? And when is your turn going to be up?
So yeah,
it's interesting.
You're officially on a watch list. You think I give a fuck about your Timu, KGB, FBI? Traitors. They should all be fucking hung. All the fucking FBI should be hung for treason. All Republicans, all MAGA, fuck them.
if I get an exemption, I still can't connect with my friends if they don't have access to it. So it kind of.
No, we don't talk about Ed Norton. We don't talk about Ed Norton in this chat.
Obviously, the wider argument in Australia is about the impact that social media sites are having on many young people.
Who gave BJ to Hitler? Exactly. Well, BJT gave a BJ to Bill Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell's horse.
Obviously, you get that argument. I wonder how you navigate that against the backdrop of what you've said about your own circumstances.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have to do violence to you. I cursed you. You've been cursed. You're epileptic, you dumb fuck. Go fuck off. Go to a rave. That's right, you can't.
be held accountable and take responsibility rather than just banning it.
Get him banned. You're such Nazis. You're such scared little Nazis. Scared little fucking Nazi Trumpers. Scared little Nazi Trumpers.
What the Australian government doing is a huge experiment of the state finally taking action to curb the sort of the excesses and dangers of social media. And unfortunately, as Ezra has articulated very well,
they're hiling Putin because they're Nazis and Putin's a Nazi, and you're all Nazis for supporting Trump and Putin.
How social media is affecting everyone, adults, people of all ages, and thinking about how to sort of regulate.
You came across as a Trump supporter, so sorry, you got cursed like a Trump supporter. Do you hate Trump for his concentration camps or his sex trafficking kids? Which one? Which one do you hate him for? Put a 1 in the chat if you hate Trump for his sex trafficking, or put a 1 in the chat if you hate Trump for his concentration camps. Put a 2 in the chat if you hate Trump for his sex trafficking kids. You better put 1 in the chat real quick, Epileptic 6.
Alev, where are you on the sort of bigger picture?
Yeah, I'm really torn.
Oh, you're elliptic 6. You're not epileptic. Well, fuck you. You're going to get epilepsy. Anybody can get epilepsy at any time, and they don't know what causes it. It might be a curse. Fuck you.
As a parent whose children are not yet.
Yes, I'm artistic.
They're still very young. I am worried about the future, and I'm selfishly hoping that by the time they get to their teenage years, it will be kind of figured out. And, experiments like this will yield certain results that other governments will cherry pick the best bits of. I don't want to.
I'm glad you're not a Klansman. Well
I
done.
don't want to see them depressed because they've been attacked online by anonymous accounts. Like, that makes me very sad, that prospect. So I have to say I'm very torn.
We allow torn on the program, and torn is often quite refreshing. Ezra, I wanted to come back to you on something you wrote, because I read the piece that appeared certainly in the Guardian newspaper in this country. May well
Thank you. Joseph hates Trump for his concentration camps and his sex trafficking.
You wrote, "What we need is regulation and consequences." What do you
The rest of you don't matter.
Well, I mean that social media, again, definitely has its flaws, and I think that the government should work with social media platforms in holding them accountable, and if they don't or refuse to cooperate, that they should.
Right, so I'm cursing all you Nazis, cursing Trump and Putin through you, cursing Trump and Putin and Netanyahu through you Nazis. Bye, Nazis.
Hang on to the idea that at some point there'll be a rethink, maybe a refinement, and adjustment.
Never come back.
That might suit some of the issues.
This person said they cast a circle of protection around Nazis in this chat. I cast circle of protection around Nazis. Nope, shit don't work. My magic's way more powerful than y'all's. Y'all are fucked. And good. Fuck you, MAGA Nazi pieces of shit.
Not just to you, but to those around you. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Miss Bunny's trying to pretend she's not American now. You're all cursed for supporting Trump. Fuck you.
Now, we're going to change the subject.